So recently I went back and watched the 60th specials of Doctor Who again for the first time since they aired, and with season 2 about to hit our screens, I thought I'd jump straight back into season 1 again to refresh my brain. Just a heads up, I will not be covering the Church on Ruby Road just yet. I'll post that around Christmas time. Eventually I will release all of my reviews to every single gatwa episode in one video, and I'll stick it in there, so just don't stress it too much. On to Boom! I'm going to do a quick run through of the episode and then I'll give you my thoughts afterwards. We open with two men walking through what looks like a battlefield. One of the men is blindfolded and speaking to his daughter Splice over the intercom. We meet Mundy Flynn, who is flirting with this other guy called Canto. The man on the battlefield has injured eyes and is worried about being caught by an ambulance. Matey boy who's guiding him falls down a hill and steps on a landmine and he insta-dies. The ambulance wakes up and look, it's Susan Twist again guys, it's Susan Twist! The ambulance goes to heal, but instead of healing, kills the poor guy. He screams and it echoes all the way to the TARDIS, and out comes the Doctor, but then the Doctor steps on a landmine as well, and cue the intro titles. Post-titles, we see Ruby exit the TARDIS and hears the Doctor singing. We find out that the Doctor is balancing his weight perfectly on the landmine to make sure that it does not go off. This is extremely uncomfortable, so he sends Ruby off to find an object that he can hold in his other hand to maintain his weight. Ruby finds a dead guy in a tube, by the way, it's the guy from earlier who died in the intro. She has to hand it to the Doctor at the exact moment he lifts his leg off, otherwise the world ends. But anyway, yeah, it's really tense, and then they do it, and it's really cool. The Doctor accidentally triggers a hologram of the dead dude who died at the beginning. The hologram does a monologue where his daughter then appears asking for her daddy. The Doctor and Ruby try and comfort her, but then the hologram pops up and Splice goes to run to it. In doing this, the kid almost falls over onto the landmine. By the way, this kid is way too old to be acting like this. I'm sorry. Mundy appears and starts to threaten the Doctor, but he explains that he's on a landmine, and because he's a Time Lord, he's a much bigger bang than they bargained for. Mundy reveals that her people, Anglicans, are fighting the Castarians. However, they have never seen them. An ambulance arrives because it detects combat, but fear not, the hologram shows up again and shows Splice some photos of when her and her dad went to see some gazelles. The ambulance stabs the Doctor and Ruby goes to distract it by combating somewhere else. So Mundy says to shoot her arm to make sure that the ambulance comes. Ruby is about to shoot Mundy, but then Canto arrives and misunderstands the scenario and then shoots Ruby instead. The ambulance stabs Ruby and tries to find her next of kin, but it doesn't know. This also teases the story arc of the series again. Oh, and it starts snowing, of course. The Doctor says where there's snow, there's hope, but then it stops snowing as soon as he says that. Mundy and Canto are doing all they can to keep Ruby alive. The Doctor reveals that this is an Anglican landmine and that the Castarians don't really exist. The Anglicans were fighting nobody. The pair are then working on some computer, trying to surrender the war that isn't a war. Canto admits his feelings for Mundy. Yay! But then the computer blows up and kills Canto. Boo! There's a really emotional speech from Canto's dead hologram. Oh yeah, also some subplot as well on top of this. The dad from the beginning is trying to hack the ambulances as a hologram. They're all glitching, saying thoughts and prayers over and over again. The landmine is giving a countdown for when it blows. The kid starts moaning about his daddy again. Again, way too old, way too old. The countdown finishes and it turns out that the ambulances were hacked in time and that the war is surrendered. The ambulance then revives Ruby and the landmine disables. The Doctor is free! They all admire the view and the Doctor name drops fish fingers and custard. Doc and Ruby get back in the box and a single snowflake enters the scene. And roll credits. Alright then, boom. What have you got for me? Tell me. Well, I'll tell you what I thought of the episode because I've just watched it again for the fourth time. And I liked it. Again, it's hardly ever going to come across that I don't like an episode of Doctor Who. There's very few that I can name drop that I've disliked over the years. This I like. I really like this. Straight away, let's mention the caskets, which are the tubes of the dead people. Delving deeper into this, when you look at the tube, it's like organs and it's weird looking. There's ears in this tube. It's creepy looking stuff, but it's the practical effects that I miss of Doctor Who. This is a physical tube that Ruby's holding. It's not CGI. Millie Gibson is holding a tube and it's got an ear in it. It's got like eyeballs and organs and stuff all in it, and I thought that is cool. That is Doctor Who. I like that. I want more of that in season 2. More practical things. I mentioned it in Space Babies as well with the bogeyman. He's actually not CGI'd. He's a practical monster. More of that, please, but I don't think we're going to get much of it in season 2, but we don't know. An issue I have with the episode, I've just said I love it, and I do love it, but Splice, the actor who played Splice, I don't think did a particularly bad job with the script, but I do think that the actor who played Splice seemed too old to be acting the way that they were acting. By the looks of it, I'd say this actor is between 9 at the lowest, 12, 13 at the highest. That is too old to be acting the way they are. It's hard to explain through here. You sort of have to just watch the episode, and I'm sure if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what I'm on about. There's a lot of just, Daddy, is Daddy here? Oh, my daddy brought me out. Oh, where's my daddy? Where's Daddy? I feel like it would have been better if it was like a 7-year-old, 6, 7-year-old, but then there's too young to... It's a gamble, and I'm afraid this is a gamble I don't think paid off too well. The worst bit for me was the gazelle bit. There's a bit where the hologram of the dad comes back and is like, Splice, sit down and look at some pictures. And the guy shows pictures, and she sat there like, oh, that's when we saw the gazelles and the antelopes, Daddy. That's when we saw them. And I'm just like, Thomas. No, I do feel bad because it is just a kid, and like I say, the kid did a good job with the script. It's just, I feel like, yeah, it's too old to be acting like that. I'm afraid, and I believe that in my opinion. If you like it, you like it. No hate to the kid at all. The kid did a great job. Oh yeah, something else that annoyed me about this, at the end of the episode, like, this is actually funny. So at the end of the episode, the doctor's talking to Ruby about Splice and Mundy and Kanto. And we're talking about, you know, what's going to happen with all the characters. Now the Doctor and Ruby are going. And Ruby says, what do you think's going to happen to Splice, Doctor? And the Doctor goes, oh, I don't know, maybe she'll become future president or something. And I'm just thinking, what? What are you on about, Doc? What are you on about? She's not done anything to become future president. Nothing she's done is worthy of that at all. It reminds me a lot of when Jodie Whittaker's era was coming to an end, and for some reason Chris Chibnall made every character in the show say to Yaz, you know what, Yaz, you're the best person I've ever met in my life. You're not even the best woman, you're the best person I've ever met in my entire life. Like, Jack was saying it, 13 was saying it, Dan was saying it, Graham and Ryan said it. What has Yaz done? What has Yaz done in the whole 3 seasons she was in? Nothing! Apart from queer-baiting us. It reminded me a lot of that, like, Moffat didn't really give us any reason to think that Splice is going to go on to be future president. All I saw from this episode is that she moans a lot, really loves her daddy, and acts too young for her age. But, you know, whatever. I'm rolled up now because I've been thinking about the Chibnall era, so cheers for that one. Ruby's death was really good as well. I liked how, when I watched this for the first time, obviously we know there's something up with Ruby. The whole season arc is Ruby's origin. Yeah, we don't know truly who she is. We believe she's human. I mean, they were scanning at the end of Space Babies at the start of the series from the Doctor. He was scanning her. I don't think we saw definitely what it was, but we believe she's human. But when I see her die, Ruby's not your bang average companion. We know there's something up with her origin. So I'm sat here going, oh my god, is she actually dead? Is she going to die? Is she going to come back somehow? Is she going to regenerate? What's going to happen? I mean, Moffat wrote it out quite well. You know, the ambulances were crooked. Then the dad somehow hacked them, and now they're back to helping people. I like that, don't get me wrong, I really like that bit, but when I watched it for the first time I was like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if Ruby regenerated, or Ruby did this, or Ruby revived herself somehow, something cool. This isn't a dig at the actual ending, I'm just thinking we don't know much about Ruby apart from the fact her origin is unknown, and that's quite spooky and weird, so maybe something cool will come of it. It didn't, but that's what I thought when I was watching it for the first time. And Ruby not knowing her next of kin is quite sad also. That hit me right here. I also want to touch on this. One of my buddies, Jack Collins, I did a video on his channel the other day where we ranked all of the RTD1 era of Doctor Who, and that is, I'll link it in the description if I remember. If not, just search Jack Collins on YouTube and it'll come up. Great guy. He pointed out something to me that I'd never realised before. So in this episode, there's a lot of thoughts and prayers. That's what the ambulance says. That's what Susan Twist in the ambulance says. Whenever somebody dies or a tragedy happens, Susan Twist will go, thoughts and prayers. And that, apparently, according to Jack Collins, is linked to American politicians when there's a school shooting. A lot of them say thoughts and prayers. I'm not sure if it's linked. That's what Jack Collins said, and I think it's a cool connection that he's made. Not too sure what's going on, if it's actually linked or not, but that's a cool thing that I'd never thought of before, and it sort of puts an eerie take on the whole episode. I quite like it, even if it is just fan theory. I'm not sure if it was confirmed or not, but the Kanto's death was quite sad. You know, Kanto, the Mundy love interest type thing, and the fact that, you know, Kanto admitted his love for Mundy just before he died, that got me a bit sad. And the fact that Mundy never responded, and then in his hologram eulogy, he basically says like, Mundy, you're my next of kin because I love you, and it's okay that you don't like me back. She never got the chance to reply, and she starts crying, and I start crying, and then that's the spiral. Yeah, I like that. I'm really glad that we got a bit of pulling on the heartstrings, because as much as I love Space Babies and the Devil's Chord, there wasn't much of that in those 2 episodes, and I'm a big fan of that. So more of that, please, RTD. More of it. I like the ambulances because normally, traditionally in our lives, an ambulance is meant to signal safety and health. But in this, it's the exact opposite. They're hiding away from the ambulances. Don't let the ambulance catch you if you've got an injury, because it will kill you. Finding out that the Anglicans were fighting nobody as well was a twist that we don't really see much in Doctor Who. It did sort of happen a bit in The Doctor's Daughter when you find out the war's only been going for 7 days. But this was a good touch. I did like it because we never see the Castarians. We never see them. We hear that they're in the fog or in the mud, but the Doctor seems to not buy it, and then he figures it out. They're not fighting anybody. They're not real. They're not real. And I like that. That was a good twist. Maybe it surprised me even on my 4th watch. So I forget that every time, but yeah, no, that was good. I like that. It was very unique way of telling a story. That's our Moffatt, isn't he? That's our Moffatt. The fish fingers and custard reference was cool as well. I've tried fish fingers and custard. I liked it. Maybe I was just 7 and obsessed with the show, but when I tried fish fingers and custard, I didn't think it was too bad. And I eat fish fingers a lot to this day, and I like a custard donut, so maybe one day I'll just bite into the 2 at once and see what happens. So stay tuned for that. Moffatt also was bombarding us with quotes in this episode. Now, I love a good quote. I'm believe it or not, I quite like philosophy and poetry. So there was some notes I've got here for some quotes he had for the episode. Snow isn't snow until it falls. That was a good quote. I like that one. Noted. Not too sure how I can use it in real life, but it was cool nonetheless. Everywhere's a beach in the end. That was quite cool. He's not gone, he's just dead. More of a spiritual one. And I think it also works more that the people in this show, in this world, when they die, they get turned into holograms. It's a bit like Red Dwarf. So they're not gone, they're just dead. So yeah, that was cool. And yeah, I love a philosophical quote from Moffatt. Well, from Doctor Who, but Moffatt does it greatly. So yeah, big fan. Overall though, I did really like this episode, and I think the only downside for me is the rewatchability. Even though I did just say I got tricked again by the Anglicans are fighting no one, the rewatchability isn't great because it is just the Doctor on a landmine the whole time, and Ruby's there. Yeah, she dies halfway through, but then gets brought back to life at the end. There is some deaths and that annoying kid again, but I just think the rewatchability is it's just one setting, and it can get a bit jarring and a bit boring. That I think now I wouldn't just stick this on if I had like a 45 minutes free, because it's very predictable. But that's not a down. It's just a reason to why I wouldn't watch it over something. I would watch Space Babies and the Devil Chord over Boom, definitely. But that's not me saying they're better episodes, because overall I think I'm going to rank Boom a good 4 out of 5, I'd say. That's the highest ranking so far. Now, rewatchability and good episode mean 2 different things. I don't think Boom's got great rewatchability, but I do think it's better than the 2 episodes previous. So yeah, Boom's going at 4. So like I say, at the minute they are going up increasingly. So Space Babies at the bottom, then the Devil's Chord, then Boom. Oh, just whacked you, sorry. And then tomorrow, or whenever I make the next one, will be 73 yards. And I've got a feeling if I remember it as good as I remember it, it'll be higher than Boom. I did love 73 yards, even though it was very confusing. I based Doctor Who episodes more on vibes, and the vibes of that episode are very, very good. But like I say, I'm not sure when that's going to come out. I am away at the weekend. It's Mother's Day. So, I'm going away. Not anywhere fun. I'm just going to see my mum and her mum. So leave a like, please. Subscribe. I work very hard on these videos. It's nice to see people watching them and enjoying them as much as I enjoy making them. And I cannot wait for the new series. Only about 3 and a bit weeks to go now until the new season. So I'm super excited. And of course, I'll be posting here at least once a week. I'm going to try and do 2 or 3 times a week. I want to get monetization. I want to start earning loads of money. I want to get loads of subs. And I want you by my side for all of it. So please do subscribe, like, and all that. And I'll see you very, very soon. And for now, I'm going to leave you. Goodbye. On to 73 yards.